What's up, everybody? It's Tyler with Hooksets Are Free. Hope you are having a good night, a good day, whenever it is that you're watching this video. It is Thursday night, September 30th, here in Colorado, 9:15 p.m. So, wanted to give people a few moments to hop in here, but essentially, what we're going to do in this video is unbox a little package that I got in the mail this week from 6 Sense Fishing. So, um, pretty excited about a couple of things in here. As you guys know, I'm a fan of 6 Sense and what they put out. So um, I've been waiting on some new baits from them, and then as usual, I like to cruise their clearance page to see what is on sale at the time. And as usual, I like to kind of run up my cart until there's at least free shipping, and sometimes impulse purchase a little bit more than that. So, like most places, I think you only have to spend $50 in order to get free shipping from 6 Sense. But anyway, like I said, we'll just wait a couple minutes to let a couple people hop in here, and then I will rip open this package and show you guys what I picked up this week. What's up, Grayson? How you doing tonight, man? Yo, yo. My kids are sick again. You might hear a little bit in my voice, so it's entirely possible that I will have to leave the stream for a moment if my 3-year-old is struggling to sleep. But otherwise, I will just plan on being in here for 45 minutes or an hour, and we will call it good here on this Thursday night. And just FYI, I will not be on tomorrow night or Saturday night. My wife is she was able to rearrange her schedule so that she's only working tonight. It is our oldest daughter's 6th birthday on Saturday, so we've got a couple things planned for the weekend, and I most likely will not have the opportunity to hop on and hang out with you guys. So I'm doing pretty well, Grayson. Thank you for asking. As I said, you might hear a little bit of nasally action in my voice just because we've had a little bit of a cold going around in the family this week. Had to hold each of our daughters out of school for one day each this week. So kind of an unfortunate deal, but the fortunate part of it is that nobody tested positive for COVID. So not really a big deal, just kind of a casual cold and dealing with it like normal. So let's talk fishing for a few minutes. I will tell you about kind of how my week has been so far. It has been not very busy on my end in terms of actually fishing. I've only been out a couple of times. I went night fishing once. I ended up going to two different spots because the first place that I went to was kind of unproductive. It was a little too windy, too exposed to the wind, and so I spent an hour or hour and a half there, and then ended up having to leave and go to a different spot where I knew that my odds of catching something were a bit greater. So on that evening, I was throwing around a handful of things at the bigger lake slash pond, and then I ended up kind of switching up lures for the smaller pond that I went to. So I did not take the swim bait setup that I had. I was throwing the 6-inch BBZ1 um, swim bait. Just it's like a shad pattern, and was hoping to catch a bigger fish. I got some good intel that that place that I've been fishing a lot recently got a whole bunch of 4-pounders dumped into it. So I am gonna keep going there and hope that as we really get into the peak of fall fishing here in the next couple of weeks, that I will be able to hook into some of those bigger fish. So tried throwing a couple of bigger baits and didn't really have much success. I think the wind played a little bit of a factor. Plus, the lack of moonlight was an issue, at least for me, in navigating the rocky bank. So, Carl Ferg, what's up? How you doing tonight? Oh, that's quite all right. I appreciate the sympathy, but it's part of kids being in school, right? I mean, my 5-year-old, soon to be 6-year-old, is a kindergartner, so she's in a new school this year, and then our 3-year-old is in preschool for the first time, and it's part of the ball game. We're healthy when we're not exposed to other people, and we end up getting sick when we're in group settings. So, you know, um, It's already happened a couple times in this first month of school, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to happen for a while before the kids' immune systems kind of strengthen back up. But yep. What's up, Matthew? How you doing tonight, man? I have just got a little package from 6 Sense that I want to open for you guys. I actually got this in the mail 2 or 3 days ago and have not yet opened it. So the hype is real. I'm excited to see what's in here. I remember a couple of the things that I ordered, but I don't really remember everything that that is in here. So Grayson says, "Open it, open it," and that's what I'm going to do. Only a few people in here right now, but to those of you who are going to miss it, of course you can watch it back on the replay. Am I right? So, couple things on top here. You know, they offer a little coupon on their Waterland sunglasses to save 15% off. I don't have any of those, and I don't know whether I'm ever going to get any. They seem to be a pretty good deal for what they are, but I'm one of those guys who manages to get by on relatively cheap polarized sunglasses just because I tend to lose them more than anything. They also included a 6 Sense decal, which is pretty cool. I'll definitely throw that on a tackle box or something like that. Yeah. Let's see what we got in here. And thank you, Grayson. Yeah, I did get a haircut. Actually cut my own hair last weekend and then had my wife just kind of touch up around the ears and in the back. But yeah, every 8 weeks or so, I pretty much just buzz it straight up. So I had a hat on earlier today, so it looks a little bit flattened out. But anyway, Matthew says, "Doing all right, man. Haven't been fishing because I've been having a vertigo attack since 3 days ago. Sucks, man. Feels like I'm on a boat." Oh man, that's brutal. So sorry to hear that, Matt. Do you usually experience those, or do you know how it came on, or why you're experiencing the vertigo? Because that is brutal, and I'm super sorry to hear that, man. All right, so first thing is one of these bait bags by 6 Sense. Let's see if I can get it out of here and stop making so much noise with that plastic. Okay, so this is the, I don't know, I want to say it's like 11 inches by 13 inches. This guy was on sale for quite a bit cheaper than it usually runs for. So I want to say I spent like $5 on this thing. And, you know, basically, a lot of companies are making something like this. And this seems to be pretty well made. And to be honest, I either just throw my bags of soft plastics into my backpack when I'm going fishing and just throw them in there loose, or I will use like quart-sized Ziploc bags and throw maybe 5 to 10 bags of soft plastics in each one. But this guy should come in handy, and I would imagine that I should be able to fit 10 or more bags of soft plastics in one of these. So this is a cool concept and something that I have not taken advantage of by any company just yet. I know that Bass Mafia and Monster Bass and a bunch of other companies kind of have their own version of this now. So we'll see how it goes. I will keep you guys posted as to whether I like it, how much I use it, and how well it holds up over time. The zipper seems to be pretty high quality, but of course it'll have to hold up to the test of time, right? So that's item number one. Johnny Granville, what's up, dude? Appreciate it. Yeah, you saw me on Debo. Looking forward to watching my channel. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the support. Just doing a little unboxing right now from 6 Sense Lures. And yeah, first item was that bait bag. Second item is a shirt. I do not own any apparel from 6 Sense until now. And this item was on sale as well. it seems that everything that Six Sense makes is high quality, even down to their clothes. So this is long sleeve. I thought it was going to be short sleeve, and I'm pretty sure it's a small. So let's see if it fits me well or not. You know, they claim that you do need to kind of size up if you're in between sizes. However, the medium was full price, and this shirt goes for like 50 bucks, but this small size was on sale for, I don't know, 17 bucks or something insane like that. So I decided to try and see if I could squeeze into it. Let's see how she fits. I will just tell you right now, it's high quality material for sure. And I've got a fly fishing trip coming up next Thursday that this could come in handy for sure. So looks like I just revealed to you guys that that I am a small, and this guy fits me pretty decent. What do you know? I might just leave this puppy on right now. All right, so this is item number 2, and it fits me fairly well. I am not mad about it. Little fishing shirt. It is a very like soft, breathable material, and I would imagine that it should dry pretty quickly. But I could see myself wearing this outside of fishing situations as well. So, um, not mad about it. Grayson says, "Do I have any DC reels?" The answer to that is no. The closest thing that I've got is the Daiwa Tatula SV, and that is a good reel for sure. I personally had been using bait casting gear for a year or two before DC really made it to mainstream and became, you know, the hyped up deal that it is. So the Corrado DC and now the SLX DC are out, and Shimano's making a ton of other reels in that DC version. And personally, I just don't really see the need for it. Um, for my own sake, you know, I know how to dial in a bait caster fairly well, and not have it backlash very often. So of course there's going to be exceptions, no matter what reel you're using, whether it's a DC or not. If you switch out lures for something heavier and don't adjust your brakes or your spool tension, of course you're going to have an overrun. You're going to have a backlash, kind of no matter what. So um, anyway, some people like the sound. Personally, I don't care for it. So there's really no reason for me to get it at this point. Matthew says, don't dry it. Don't put it in the dryer, or it could make it shrink. Just air dry it after washing it. Good to know. Thank you for that. I actually did not know that, and I should probably remind my wife. I am spoiled to have a wife who takes care of me and does my laundry. So I will just give her a gentle reminder to not throw this in the dryer when she does wash it. So thank you for the reminder, Matthew. Johnny says, any fly fishing videos or lives that I can check out, or fly fishing channels that you like? Yeah, so hit me up offline and I will give you a couple of more specific ones. But of course, you know, you could follow Orvis, and a handful of other like big channels of like top brands in the fly fishing space, and that would be a good place to start. But otherwise, there are some smaller creators that I can't name offhand, but could find and look up very quickly for you. And yes, I do have a fair amount of fly fishing content, just haven't posted much of that, and would be happy to make more of that in the future if you'd like to see it. Especially because most of the waters that I fly fish here in Colorado are either super public, and I'm not worried about them being about them getting spot burned, or they're super private and nobody else has access to. So I'd actually be more willing and interested in posting fly fishing content than I would traditional bass fishing content. We talked about that last week and just about how posting fishing content for me has led to one too many bad experiences of my spots being burned and me kind of ruining my own bodies of water by showing people where I'm fishing, where I'm catching fish at those bodies of water, and on what. So, Ryan in the house, what's up, dude? Doing pretty well, thank you for asking. Next up is a little soft plastic, and boy, is this packaging cute. Look at how tiny these little bags are. If you guys don't recognize this bait, it is the 6 Sense Stroker Craw in the new smaller size. This is a 2.4 inch. Let me try and pull out the original, which is a 3.3, and then I will show you the 2.4. Sean Z, what's up, dude? Double-edged sword, what you talking about, Willis? Posting fly fishing or posting fishing content. Yeah, it's more of a one-edged sword that stabs me, but yeah, that's the main reason that I don't post a lot of fishing content is that I'm a bank beater and I live in a pretty suburban area of the Denver metro area. There are only maybe a dozen different spots that I actually fish. So unfortunately, a lot of those are well known or easy to find, and word gets out pretty quick. So try not to share too much. Okay. Now let's start with the original 6 Sense Stroker Craw. I'll show you what it looks like. This is a 3.3 inch craw style bait. Awesome little trailer and Texas rig bait. So it's got these kickers that are a little bit reminiscent of like a Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw, but not quite. They do have a really good kicking action and therefore make an awesome trailer on the back of a swim jig or a chatterbait or a swing head, and then on any type of jig that you might be throwing or just a Texas rig in general. So it does have a pretty streamlined profile, so it also makes a decent punch bait. But at 3.3 inches, you really don't need to trim it down too far in order to make a really good jig trailer. However, 6 Sense just released a smaller size of this bait, and oh my goodness, this is a lot smaller than I would have thought. So both of these are in green pumpkin, as you can see. I'm going to line them up right next to each other, and you can see that this smaller guy is thinner, shorter, narrower, everything. And boy, this is super finessey. So where I thought this might make a decent jig trailer, I don't know. Honestly, at first look, I think this is going to make a Ned rig bait first and foremost, and then like a micro jig trailer. Now, you could throw this on a tiny Texas rig on like a 1/0 hook, but that's about it. 2.4 inches is really small. I mean, if you think about that, a standard Ned rig bait is going to be between 2.5 and 3 inches, more frequently closer to 3 inches than 2.5. So this is smaller than the vast majority of Ned rig baits on the market, and therefore will go best on a size 1 or 1/0 hook. And yeah, interesting. Definitely smaller than I thought it would be. And I could tell immediately when I pulled this package out of the box that it was going to be small. Now, a couple observations about the packaging, about the bait itself. One, the original Stroker Craw comes in this clamshell package, which is designed perfectly around the bait. So I really, really appreciate that. And I like that that's become more of an industry standard over the last year or two. And so here's the packaging, pretty standard size. But then what you get here is a much smaller package. These are side by side. And unfortunately, there is no clamshell for these guys. So they're sitting in there loose and therefore are getting twisted up. You can already see that, you know, this claw here is twisted around some of the other baits, and that's going to happen. So unfortunately, out of the 8 that you get in a pack here, there are probably going to be a couple that are not going to be fishable straight out of the package. Not the end of the world, if you ask me, but I'm a big fan of the original Stroker Craw, like I said, and its versatility. I've got it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors, and 6 Sense makes some awesome colors. Okay, you know, first I've got this dark water bug, which is like a black and blue. Dang it! I'm just gonna show you the colors real quick, okay? Dude, no way. Kid Iraq. Ray is in here. What is up, brother? It's been a long time. Justin, no diggity in here. How you doing, man? Good to see you guys in here, especially Ray. It's been a long time, man. So this dark water bug color is one of my favorites. It is like a black on one side and then like a June bug, like purple and blue flake on the bottom. So it's this laminate color, very, very good dark watercolor. And I'll fish it on a June bug or a black and blue jig. And it goes quite well. So really like that one. This next one is called Bluegrass Magic. And it's a little bit like what you'd think of a blue craw type of color. Green pumpkin blue. And then like this iridescent blue belly. So really good looking. I actually haven't fished this color yet. This pack is entirely full. I picked that one up just maybe a month or two ago, and it's been sitting on the wall here, kind of buried under some of these other colors. So I got to remind myself to use that one. I already showed you the green pumpkin. Very standard. They've got this cool color called Gill Dust, which is like a green pumpkin, purple copper flake. And yeah, that, in my opinion, is not just a good bluegill imitator, but is the type of color that smallies really like. It's a super popular color in like a tube, green pumpkin, purple copper flake. So like that one. And then another one that I just most recently got is called Mexican Spice, and this color is wicked. It is like a green pumpkin copper type of top. Sorry about that focus. And then a totally chartreuse belly. So another good bluegill imitator. And yeah, so I've got crawfish imitators, I've got bluegill imitators, and then I've got dirty watercolors. And the Stroker Craw, in my opinion, is an underrated bait. Of course, there are going to be a lot of people that do talk about it, speak highly of it. You know, if you guys watch Kevin the Baitman Baxter, of course, he's a big fan of it. But that 2.4 inch size is a lot smaller than I would have thought. Got a little bit of oily fingers now. One thing I will mention about the Stroker Craw, even more than other baits. If you accidentally set that on a wooden table or on the concrete, say in your garage, the plastic in 6 Sense plastics will really bleed and kind of stain whatever it's sitting on. Sometimes even melt a little bit. So do need to be careful about that and just kind of keep them in their clamshell and in their original packaging, and you'll be good to go. Ray says, I'm glad I jump in. I know nothing about 6 Sense. Yeah, right. Ray is a diehard 6 Sense fan. So, yeah, you jumped in at a good time, man. Riley is not in here, probably because it's Thursday night and the chick is busy and has school tomorrow, guys. So give her a little bit of a break. You know, I usually stream on the weekends, but tonight is Thursday. As I said, my wife is only working tonight, not tomorrow or Saturday night. So I'm only in here tonight unless something happens in the next 2 nights and I'm able to hop on, but I wouldn't bank on it. Okay. Daniel T in the house. What's up, dude? How you doing, man? Matt says, bro, you need to try the Berkeley Power Flutter Worm from Berkeley, Japan. Sweet as hell. Got 5 packs, and they catch fish are very versatile, and the scent is killer. Interesting. Yeah, I'll check those out for sure. Power Flutter. I can't even picture it. Don't really know what that bait is about. So, yeah, Ray, those new ones are tiny. And as you saw my reaction a few minutes ago, I was shocked as well, man. So I only got 1 pack in green pumpkin and 1 pack in black and blue. And as I said, I really only see these as micro jig trailers, Ned rig baits, or a tiny Texas rig on like a 1/0 EWG. So that's about it. A little bit less versatile of a bait, in my opinion. So now they gave me a cool bait bag here. A lot of 6 Sense. They've got monthly subscription sacks. And then also, if you just shop there and you spend enough money, they'll throw one of these in there and put some of your baits in there. So I got one more item that was on sale on their clearance page. And this is a bait that surprisingly I have none of in my boxes. And I'll explain why. This is the 6 Sense Crush 50X. And actually, it's not the X, it's the S. So this is their 1.5 size square bill crankbait. They have a Crush 50 and a Crush 100. They do make it in an X, which is a rattling version, and S, which is silent. So as you guys know, I really only fish 2 square bills on the market a vast majority of the time. And that is the 2 classics, right? The Lucky Craft LC 1.5 and the Strike King KVD 1.5. I will throw some of them in rattling versions. For example, the Lucky Craft comes in a Moonsault version, which has a ton of rattles in it, and they're high pitch rattles. So it sounds kind of like a lipless crankbait in a square bill body, which is a really cool bait. But for the most part, I throw the standard LC 1.5, which is a silent running square bill. The KVD 1.5 comes standard as a silent bait, but Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's do make a rattling version of that bait, and I throw both of them. So depending on the water clarity, depending on how pressured the fish are, I will mix it up. But those 2 baits run consistently enough for me, and I really don't see much of a reason to throw many other square bills on the market. That is one of the few categories where I stay pretty narrow and don't really venture out a ton. So this guy is one that of course, I've heard really good things about it. 6 Sense makes super high quality stuff, and it's no surprise that what you get is a good bait that's going to run true with a really good paint job, color scheme on it, and top-notch hardware. So just like most of their hard baits, this does come with short shank EWG treble hooks on it. but this is one of my absolute favorite colors that Sixth Sense makes in their hard baits, and it's called Rayburn Ghost. And as you can see, it's purple, it's translucent, and it's got some flash in it. So it does have a little bit of like a goldish orange on the tail. And I'm excited to have this guy in my arsenal. I want to say it retails for like 9, maybe $10, and I got it for like 5 and change. So less than $6, and couldn't help it. So a lot of these purchases from Sixth Sense this go around were clearance buys, right? The shirt that I've got on right now, different than the thumbnail. Well, you can hardly call it a thumbnail, but the picture that I put up as the thumbnail of me holding the box, I was wearing the shirt that I've got on underneath. So I got this shirt on super clearance. It's like a $50 shirt that I got for like 16 or 17 bucks. I got this crankbait for something like 30 or 40% off. And what did I miss? Yeah, I got that bait bag for like 30 or 40% off that I will start loading some soft plastics into and see how I like that. Other than that, I picked up a couple of these bags of the brand new Stroker Craws in that small size, which is a 2.4. And then I've got one more bait in here, and I will show you in 1 second. Johnny says, what's a good entry-level waders brand? Got some generic fishing Sir waders, and they're bulky and uncomfortable. Yeah, dude, I wish I could really answer that question properly. I would say look at Reddington if you want something that's kind of entry to mid price point. But when it comes to fly fishing gear, I've got really expensive taste. Most of my stuff is Sims, so I have really expensive waders and boots, and yeah, my rods and reels are not even close to entry level. So yeah, I mentioned that on Debo's stream. I kind of hate to admit sometimes just how snobby I am when it comes to fly fishing gear, but I've only got 2 or 3 combos that are really all I use, and most of the time I'm only using one of them. So the fact that it's a combo worth over $1,000 doesn't really bother me because I can throw pretty much everything that I need to on it. Um, and then my waders and boots are going to last me hopefully decades. I'm only fly fishing maybe 10 or 15 times a year. And so by taking good care of my gear, I really don't need to level up and level up. So I know a couple people in the fly fishing industry and was able to get kind of a cost type of discount on some of this super high end gear when it comes to my waders and boots. And yeah, couldn't help but drop a pretty penny. I won a fantasy football league about 3 years ago, and dropped a good $600 or $700 on those waders and boots, although they retail for more like $900. So anyway, oh, Matthew says the power flutter is a a craw bait. I thought you said crankbait. Sheesh. Johnny says your bait cave background is sweet. I need some pegboard. Yeah, man, it was not difficult for me to build this, and I'm really happy with it. Although the room in here around the table that I'm sitting at is super not organized. So while it looks like I've got everything really well organized, and in general I do, I still have tons and tons of stuff that is unorganized, and such is the case. So I usually wait until the off season, when all of my bodies of water are iced over, to really get organized so that when it comes time to fishing season, I can just grab and go. So, like I mentioned on Debo's stream, what I will do is just grab like a 3600 size box or two and load them up with various baits and colors based on where I'm going fishing and what time of year it is. So I will not grab for my entire box of poppers, jerk baits, and lipless crankbaits. I will go into them and grab a couple of them to take with me that day. So, Justin, do I ever throw glide baits? Yes, I do, man. I am no glide bait expert by any means. Um, I throw the River to Sea S Waver in the 168. I throw the Arashi Glide, which is a little bit bigger, and I throw the Savage Gear Shine Glide. Probably leaving out a couple of baits, but I recently purchased the Depths Slide Swimmer in the 175 size from a Japan import website called Ichiban Tackle, and was able to save like $50 on it. So, yes, I throw glide baits. I like them. I just don't have a tremendous amount of confidence in them. And given my fishing style and the fact that I usually only have a couple hours to fish at a time, um, it's hard for me to go out and really dedicate all of my time to throwing that one bait to perhaps catch one or two fish when there are baits like a jackhammer chatterbait that I have a tremendous amount of confidence in and tend to catch fish on every single time I go out. So I like to experiment, and unfortunately, swim baits and glide baits especially are one of those techniques where you almost have to intentionally not experiment with other things and just go out and throw that. Um, until you get bit. So, you know, I like it and I don't like it at the same time. Matt says only square bills I throw are the Depths Evokes and the Lucky Craft CBs. Okay, fancy pants. Alberto says hello, a little bit late, but I made it. Yes, sir. Welcome to the stream. Good to have you in here, bro. I know I'm a little bit behind on the comments. Let me try to catch up on these. Sean says everyone needs to try the Megabass S cranks. Awesome hunting square bill. Yeah, that's one that I do not have, but probably will end up buying sooner than later. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I posted a picture of a knockoff of that bait that came in last month's Dark Horse tackle box um, by a company called Sleigh Right Fishing. So they have access to the blanks, and then I don't know what kind of weight or rattle they put inside them. It's got a loud rattle, and then a really cool paint job on it that they call Sunburst Goldfish. So yeah, that I'm sure it doesn't run exactly like the S crank does, because I know that the S crank has a weight transfer system in it. So anyway, thanks for the suggestion though, dude. Matthew says the knuckle over the S crank. Okay. No, Ray, I still haven't taken you fly fishing. 2 years next month. Well, when are we gonna go, dude? I had access to our private place uh Tuesday through tomorrow of this week and was not able to make it up. And I'm not going tomorrow. So it's a damn shame. But again, I'm going on a guided trip next Thursday and should get into some monster trout. So um, look out for a little storytelling on that next weekend. And I'll probably share some pictures, let you guys know how that experience was. I believe we're going to a body of water or a stretch of river, I should say, that I am not already familiar with, piece of property that I haven't fished before. So going with my dad, my brother, and I think maybe even my mom. My mom has started getting into fly fishing this year and is starting to catch some hogs. So that's pretty sweet. Ray, you finally broke down and picked up a Megabass 110. Yeah, hurts the bank, but it's a sweet bait for sure. I talked about this on Debo's stream recently, but a bait that I'm really high on these days is the Vision 110 Junior. Okay. This guy will save you $5. So it's $20 instead of 25 bucks, but it's got the same action, same diving depth, also has 3 hooks on it, but it's a bit smaller. So this thing I think weighs 3/8 of an ounce versus the 110 standard being a half ounce, but same internals, same bait, just downsized. I want to say it's like a 95 size or so. So last item in this package, guys. Can you guess what it is? Johnny. I'm not giving away this shirt, man. I'm loving it so far. It actually fits me surprisingly well. And I'm wearing a shirt underneath it. So Baba Booey. If you think it fits you well, hop on Six Sense's website. They might still have them in stock, man. Honestly, this thing was a steal at like $17. Retails for 50 bucks. So Matthew already knows. All right, guys. So these baits sold out like immediately when they were released, as did the larger new glide bait from Six Sense, which is called the Draw. But this guy right here is the Six Sense Trace. So this is a jointed swim bait that measures 6 inches long. Comes with 2 tails in the package, which is cool, considering this is a very soft tail. If you take a look at this, you can see that this is made from a stretchy silicone type of material. Very, very soft. I remember Kevin Bateman saying that his tail actually melted because he left it in the back of his truck, something like that. So I noticed that that the part of the tail that attaches to the bait actually has a spring in it. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. So it's got like a screw lock type of deal holding it together, but I think that's probably just to get it to fit inside the tail section of the bait right here. So nifty little package that this comes in. This guy is a very good looking multi-piece swim bait. It's got a shad profile, as you can see. So they do make this in shad patterns and bluegill patterns and even crappie patterns. So I think technically all of them would work just fine because it does have a little bit of a taller profile, and being 6 inches long, it could still imitate a bluegill or a crappie fairly well. But in my opinion, this profile just screams shad to me. And the body of water that I've been fishing a lot the last couple of months has gizzard shad in it. So I decided to pick up this color, which I believe is called Shad Sense. And as you can see, it's like a clear, sexy shad type of color. So it's translucent, got a little bit of a grayish blue hue to the top, that bluish hue all throughout, and then that chartreuse line down the middle. Since I am trying to imitate shad, one thing that I really paid attention to was the color of the tail. And I wanted a tail that was darker in nature. And for whatever reason, most of the tails on this trace bait come in like a yellowish type of color. So I wanted something that had a shad profile and a shad-like tail to it. So I decided to go with this, and I am not mad about it. Let's see if it's got a rattle in it. A little bit, but it's more just the balancer than anything. So this thing has 3 segments to it and is going to have a very natural swimming action through the water. So as I said, it's 6 inches in length, and I want to say that it's like an ounce and a half or something. 1.65 ounces. So very close to an ounce and a half. And yeah, gorgeous looking bait. Retails for like $35. So definitely not a cheap bait, but for what it is, I think it's pretty reasonable. And so I couldn't help but pick one up. And yeah, that draw, on the other hand, is one that is a little bit big for my liking. It's a 9-inch glide bait, and it actually doesn't weigh as much as you would think. It weighs like 4 ounces, right about 4 ounces. And so should be manageable for such a big bait, but it does retail for like 75 bucks. So at $35 and a little bit smaller, this trace was one that I was curious enough to decide to pick one up. So very excited to have one of those in my hand and in my box. I will definitely be throwing that here in this next month or so while fall fishing is on, and I'm trying to catch those bigger fish. So Matt says those Gancraft 70s are sweet for trout and salmon, man. Interesting. That's a pretty tiny little glide bait, dude. Yeah, Johnny, hop on it, bro. Let me know if they're in stock. Ray says, I seen you in here. I've seen you in there and watched your jerkbait video. I was torn between the two after. Just went with the standard for now. I was buying the Mega 360, so I snuck it in the cart. Wife was none the wiser. Dude, dropping that dough on the Mega 360. Good for you. Hope you enjoy it. I'd love to know your thoughts on it after you have a chance to really break it in and get used to it. But again, really great to see you in here, man. I've kind of missed you, if we're being honest. No homo, but really nice to see not your face, but your name in here. See you contributing in the chat. So anyway, guys, that is what I picked up from 6 Sense. I got one of the trace, 2 of the smaller brand new Stroker Craw 2.4s, really tiny, like surprisingly small. One of the 6 Sense Crush 50S, silent version in the Rayburn Ghost color. This wicked shirt that I'm wearing, as well as one of their bait bags, little Ziploc deals. And yeah, I want to say that I spent like 70 bucks. So considering that Swimbait was $35, pretty damn good deal. Ordinarily, I would use Baitman's code and save the 10% off, and also make him a couple bucks in the process through commission. But 6 Sense had actually sent me an email because I don't know how long ago it was, maybe a month ago or so. I had added some things to my cart and then never made the purchase. And 6 Sense followed up with me, sent me an email saying, hey, we missed you. If you want to go ahead and continue with your purchase, here's a discount code. So, I copy pasted that bad boy in there, and it was like closer to 15% off. So I ended up using that instead. But yeah, happy about the little purchase from 6 Sense. Now, let's talk for another 10, 15 minutes, and I will just open up the floor to you guys and let you ask away about anything that you want to talk about for the remainder of the night. And yeah, I'll be on here for, say, 10, 15 minutes or longer if you guys are really chatty and have some good questions and want to just totally change up the topic of conversation, because I really just hopped on here to open that box because I've been waiting and knew that I'd probably have an opportunity tonight. And surprise, surprise, my kids are not making noise right now for having been sick the last couple of days. We've had some miserable sleep. I mean, literally last night, like I was up every 30 minutes all night long. So yeah, Justin, pickle throw. I know it's not Friday, dude, but I told you last week that my wife switched around her work schedule so that she was going to work tonight and tonight only. She's not working tomorrow or Saturday. So, really, I'm only in here right now. And you're probably not going to see me this weekend. And that is that. So, sorry about it, dude. You're going to have to watch some of this on the replay after we're done. But my bad. I tried to give you guys a little bit of a heads up in posting like 30 minutes before the stream, just on the community tab saying, hey, I'm going to hop on tonight. Got a little unboxing from 6 cents. But Ray says it's Friday on the other side of the pond. True that, dude. The other side, other hemisphere of the world. You know what, Ray? You're absolutely right. Um, and I do feel a little bit bad about that, dude. It's just been so long since we've talked, and I apologize for not checking in. But I hope you're doing well, man. Honestly, guys, we got 15 people in here. 10 thumbs up. Do me a solid if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up. Do that real quick, and please throw some questions in the live chat, and let's talk for a few minutes. Looks like Grayson is asking, "What's your favorite swim bait?" Well, why don't I ask a follow-up question and ask you, do you mean hard bait or soft bait when it comes to swim baits? Matt says, what are your thoughts on those pics that I sent of that lizard and the bantam cranks? Have you seen those Shimano cranks before? Honestly, I don't remember the bantam cranks, but that lizard looked pretty wild, dude. I saw that you posted it to your story on Instagram. So happy for you that that you're actually doing that now. Is posting to your story on Instagram because that's sweet. And I would always recommend that you do that instead of just sending everything through the DMs. You know, I'll end up seeing stuff on your story. You're more than welcome to send me direct messages with pictures of your baits, but um, let's see. Where are these bantams? Oh, dude, those bantams look sick. So take a look at these flat side crankbaits. Um, of course, you guys aren't going to be able to see that. They look very handmade, hand painted. That's not going to focus for anybody right now. That kind of is right there. There's one of them. This color pattern, I wish you guys could see. It's got like a purplish pink top, like a chartreuse white body, and then like some rainbow, you know, uh, paint on it. So pretty wicked. Matthew is not only a bait junkie, but addicted to JDM lures, rare baits, things like that. So he got this lizard bait recently, and yeah, dude is addicted like the rest of us, but ends up spending a lot of money buying stuff through drops and through eBay and through just smart shopping tactics. And yeah, hand painted bantams. Okay, that makes sense, dude. Interesting. So Grayson says either or both when it comes to swim baits. 1 second on that. Johnny says, I really appreciate the info. Always like seeing new lures, except it makes me want to spend a bunch of money. Nothing like lures coming in the mail. I hear you 1,000%, man. And I'm one of those people, you know, in my browser right now, I've got 3 different retailers up between Discount Tackle. I'm already planning my purchase that I'll make in a couple of days from now. You know, I've got a little bit of an allowance there on a monthly basis, and so I'll be making my purchase for the month of October there in the next couple of days. And then I've got Tackle Warehouse pulled up. and I'm tempted to pull the trigger on a couple things there. And I've actually got Ichiban pulled back up, and was thinking about buying a couple more things from there. So yeah, we're all freaking tackle addicts, man. I hear you. All right, so swim baits. I wish I could say I've been thinking about it, but I haven't. Um, and I also hate to throw something so mainstream at you. Um, but there are probably two that I would say, okay? And these are not super expensive. They're not hard to find. But I think they have a unique action and I think they catch fish really well. So the first one is the 6-inch Megabass Magdraft Freestyle. Okay. Um, the Magdraft is a great bait, but when they decided to come out with the Magdraft Freestyle a couple of years ago, it was kind of a game changer. Um, People used to go ahead and cut the belly and remove the harness of the original Magdraft, which is fine. And then they would use mend it to seal it back up, and then use a beast hook, or a flashy swimmer, trocar swim blade, whatever, in order to be able to fish it weedless. Um, and now they sell these two to a pack for the same price as one that is pre-rigged. So for $13, I believe it's $12.99. It could be $11.99, but at like $6 and change for one of these baits, it's a hell of a deal. The Magdraft has a lot of features built into it that are subtle and really high quality. So not only do you get a really good profile, 3D eyes, and then you get the fins and everything that helps keep the bait run stable, but you get a tail that kicks with a lot of action. Now, as you can see, this thing does not, it's not super loose, right? So on the other hand, for example, here's the Kitech Swing Impact Fat. This is the 6.8-inch version. So technically, it's just a little bit bigger than the Magdraft. Not quite an inch. But as you can see, the Swing Impact Fat is a very, very soft swim bait. This guy is really meant to be run low and slow. It's going to have a much more dramatic kick to it, whereas the Magdraft Freestyle is like a true medium retrieve style bait. It's going to have the most action when run at a medium slow to medium fast speed, depending on where you want to fish it in the water column. If you fish it too slow, that tail is not going to do its job. Um, but this is a killer swim bait and well worth the money, in my opinion. You can also throw it on an exposed hook jig head by just cutting the nose off. But the one other bait that I would say is this guy right here. It's the Optimum Baits Baby Boom Boom Weedless Swim Bait. And this is a downsized version of its big brother. So the Boom Boom Swim Bait is a 6-inch weedless hand-poured swim bait designed by Fred Roombanis, aka Boom Boom. And this was designed really to imitate, or replicate the action of the old Bass Pro Shops XPS swim bait. And they discontinued it, I don't know how long ago, 10 or 15 years ago. And there were a ton of pros that were absolutely all about that bait and ended up like buying out every single one that was in existence. So Fred was one of those guys, but ultimately he decided to help design his own bait that essentially replicates that action. And similar to the Magdraft, um, it has a couple of deals where one, it is a little bit speed sensitive. So you see it doesn't bend all the way over at all. So it is more of a medium speed retrieve bait. Has a sweet spot, but when it's retrieved right, this thing will roll a little bit and its head will wag. So most soft plastic swim baits do not have that kind of secondary action, but the Magdraft Freestyle and this Boom Boom swim bait do. Now the Boom Boom in its 6-inch size is fairly big and heavy. So this guy right here is the baby Boom Boom, and it's 4.5 inches, and it weighs significantly less. So you can throw this guy on just like a 4/0 owner beast hook. It does have that wide open belly, super soft plastic because these are hand poured. So you're going to get some inconsistencies in the color schemes and things like that, but really high quality bait and great for the price tag. I want to say they're like $10 a pack, and you get 2 to a pack for the standard size, and you get 3 to a pack for the baby size. So love that. When your fish just won't go after a big swim bait, or you don't have a dedicated setup to be able to throw a 2.5 ounce soft plastic swim bait, that baby Boom Boom, even rigged on a weighted hook, is definitely still in that 3/4 of an ounce range. So pretty reasonable, dude. Daniel says, I'm slowly becoming a tackle junkie. Well, I hear you. You know, it doesn't happen overnight, but yeah, it's been happening to me for the last 3 or 4 years. And yeah, it's a little out of control, but good problem to have. Johnny says, anyone have a good technique to fish a soft plastic lizard? Really want to bass on a lizard, and I'm still 0 for 9 on catching bass on a frog. I get the blow up and miss them. Yeah. As Daniel's saying in the next comment, he's learned on a frog that you should count to 3 before you set the hook. Yeah, as Debo says, or what does Debo say? Ready, set before he sets the hook. Honestly, most of the time, a frog bite is going to be visual. But what you want to do is reel down until you feel tension and then set the hook. Or if you see them get the bait and swim off, if you see your line moving away, then set the hook. But in general, a decent rule of thumb is that count to 3. You see them blow up on the frog and it disappear, as opposed to them missing the frog. Go 1, 2, 3, reel down, set the hook, jack them. And you really do need to jack them, okay? Now, as for a lizard, dude, throw it on a Carolina rig or an unpegged Texas rig, and you're good to go. So, generally speaking, throw a heavier weight. If it's an unpegged Texas rig, you could throw a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce. If you're throwing a Carolina rig, you could go up to an ounce, but you want to leave a little bit of space between your weight and your bait, and just kind of drag it on bottom, dude. That's where a lizard is going to be most effective. And so, yeah, keep that in mind. And if you're really wanting to catch them on a lizard, that would be how. Also, during the spawn next year in the springtime, a lizard is one of the baits that they will react most aggressively to when they're bedding. So keep that in mind. EB fishing. Hi, do you use the Shimano SLX? Yes, I do. I've got the standard SLX. It's not the 150. It's not the DC. I've got the regular SLX, and I love it. It's the $100 price point one. Great reel so far. Very happy with it. When comparing to other reels in its class, in its price point, I'd put it right up there, top of my list. Very good reel, dude. Sean says, check out Japan Lure Shop too for JDM stuff. Great guy to do business with. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I'll check that out for sure. Thank you for the suggestion, Sean. Um, yeah, the main thing that I like about Ichiban, and again, I've got very limited experience, is that they offer really, really reasonable prices. Their stuff is significantly cheaper for the most part. I would say like 60, 75% of the baits that they offer are a lot cheaper than you'd find retail here in the US. And secondly, they offer a lot of those baits used. Like they do some sort of trade-in program, and so they will rate baits on an A, B, or C scale, depending on quality and blemishes, things like that, and offer them for discounted prices if they're already used. And then on top of that, the shipping is very interesting because they're offering great prices and because they're shipping from Japan. They charge $22 for shipping, which is really expensive. But when you consider the savings that you're getting through the lures that you're buying and the fact that it gets to you in about 2 or 3 business days from Japan is insane and well worth it to me. So, like I said, I saved $50 on that depth slide swimmer 175. It was $59. That thing retails for $109. So that right there more than paid for the shipping. And then I picked up a couple Megabass poppers, maybe 1 or 2 other things, and you know got away with a damn good deal. So thank you for the suggestion on Japan Lure Shop. I will check them out. What did I just miss there? Hot damn, I've missed some comments. I'm sorry that I'm behind, guys. Matt says, "What lures are you planning on using in the upcoming weeks, and what are you mainly using now that is getting the most success?" So I will definitely show you guys my box next stream that I've loaded up pretty much exclusively for fall fishing, but it's ranging from topwater walking baits, mostly when it comes to topwater, a few poppers and maybe a whopper plopper here and there, but mostly walking baits, lipless crankbaits, um, square bill crankbaits, chatterbaits, and what else is in that box? Yeah, there's going to be a few others that are kind of in between style lures or off the wall style lures. Like I mentioned on Debo's stream last week, the 13 fishing Jabberjaw is one that I'll be throwing more. I'll be downsizing my square bills and throwing the KBD 1.0. Jerk baits is the fifth one that I was really just leaving out. I'll be throwing jerk baits quite a bit more. So yeah, those are the main ones, dude. But really, the chatterbait is still the most productive for me. That striking KVD 2.5 wake bait has been awesome for me the last month or so too. So it's got like a one knocker in it and a really tight and stable swimming action to it that is either right on the surface or maybe 1 or 2 inches below. And I've been liking it quite a lot. Yeah, Matt, Carolina Fishing Tackle, great place to shop as well. Sean says the Magdraft also had some head wobble along with the tail kick. Yep, thought I mentioned that. Okay. Matthew says, got to start throwing my Battle Shad 7.5 because I want to see if it's all if it's worth the hype or if it really does catch fish, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't think you can throw that on the back of a swim jig, dude. Doesn't it take like a 12-aught beast hook or something like that? EB Fishing says, what's your favorite bait caster? Um, favorite bait caster. So I would say the Daiwa Tatula SV is my favorite, just in terms of how it casts, how it handles, um, its adjustability. But I am not super picky when it comes to my reels. So I have really, really liked the Quantum Smoke S3 reel over the last couple of seasons. There are a couple of lose reels which I've really come to like. The Custom Black is one that I've got a couple of and really like, and the new KVD um, reel from Lose is awesome. A couple of people have mistaken it as a scorpion, which is kind of funny. Um, because it's $140 instead of like $400. But really liking the KVD lose reel. But of course, there's a lot of similarities between it and the Quantum Smoke PT that S3 reel, because both were designed by KVD himself. So Grayson says, "What about hard swim baits?" Um, Good question, dude. I would say, in terms of like what I've had the most success on in the last couple of seasons, it's been the 6-inch Spro BBZ1. I've got this in 3 different colors. The trout is actually the one that I've thrown the least. I've got one in the perch pattern and one in like a shad pattern. And this is the slow sink version. They make this in a floater, a slow sink, and a fast sink. And the slow sink is super versatile. So this is a multi-piece swim bait, kind of like what I showed you with the trace. It's got 3 pieces, 2 joints, and a soft tail. And this thing can be fished in a lot of different ways. You can fish it kind of like you would a glide bait and walk it subsurface. This thing will turn around completely. Or you can fish it on a straight retrieve up close to the top of the water. You can burn it and it will stay true. Or you can let it sink down and just swim it more methodically and slow through the water. So I really like the versatility of it. And then and one bait that has kind of crept up on me this year. I've only fished a handful of times, but I plan to fish it a bit more, is the G-Rat Sneaky Pete. And yeah, to be honest, I'm probably going to pick up its baby brother pretty soon, the Pistol Pete. Sean Z says Scottsboro Tackle also pours some killer swim baits. Yes, they do, my man. I thought I had one close by right here that's rigged up. Yeah, I do. So this guy is the 5-inch. But yeah, I've got a couple Scottsboros right here. Five-inch and 6-inch. And yeah, man, they make some great stuff for sure. Personally, I think I like this 6-inch just a little bit better size-wise, but I can foresee getting bit a little bit better on the 5-inch. I haven't put enough time into these guys, but like you say, they are poured extremely well. Very, very soft plastic, and it's got kind of that in between action where the tail doesn't totally bend over, but it's very collapsible. So once a fish eats it, they're going to get the whole thing in their mouth very easily. Um, but it's going to have a lot of tail kick. So it also has a little bit of head wag to it. So Scottsboro Tackle making good stuff for sure. I'm going to have to skip a couple comments here. Ray says, allegedly, I supposedly picked up some OG Slims when they dropped, and allegedly, they've oddly been working since the spring. I don't really know since I only tossed 6 cents. Well, yeah, allegedly, you ain't wrong. That's a bait that I'm going to be whipping out this fall as well. So we talked about it on Debo's stream. It's an affordable balsa bait, flat-sided, and yeah, well, affordable is relative. You know, it's maybe like $10. So for a balsa bait that is really well made, looks handmade, um, have great paint jobs on them, a circuit board lip, and solid hooks straight out of the pack. This is a really underrated bait. Now, of course, underrated is relative because Ot Defoe has had some major success on it, as have a couple of other Rapala pros. But the one thing that I will mention about this guy are these VMC hybrid treble hooks that come stock on this bait. And I mentioned this on Debo's stream, but in my opinion, they're a little bit big for the bait. Now, they don't tangle up or anything, right? So they're sized appropriately, but with how wide gap they are and how big of hooks they are, I find that this bait wants to hang up a little bit too frequently. So I will probably downsize the hooks on those just a little bit, go to more of a standard round bend. Yeah, Ray, that's the one I'm talking about. The new Lose Speed Spool that's red. It's the KVD reel, dude. Loving it. EB says, thinking about getting a Tatula SV because I really like the reel itself. But also the fact that it has a spider logo on it. Yeah, the spider logo does not affect me whatsoever. It's the function of the reel. And not only is it built really well, but it handles remarkably well. Awesome, awesome reel. Daniel doesn't own any Lose, but he's been debating on getting one versus an SLX. If your budget is only $100, I'd get an SLX. If you can step up your budget a little bit more, I'd go for like that new KVD, the new one that's red. In my opinion, it handles just a little bit better, but it seems like it's constructed better. But it's all little fine details, right? So it's personal preference. The handles are different, and the way that it feels in hand when you reel it is different. I personally like that new KVD just a little bit better. Matthew says, get a shortcake from LaGrady Lures. Worth the wait, man. I don't know what you're talking about. A shortcake. But it's making me a little bit hungry, dude. Yeah, EB's right. If you're only spending $100, go with the SLX versus like the standard speed spool. Although the speed spool is a good reel, I've just had mixed results with them, and sometimes the thumb bar can get a little bit loose over time. It's not as durable of a reel, at least in my experience and my opinion so far. Lose can be hit or miss sometimes, but KVD built this new Lose reel different than like any other existing Lose reel out there. One, he tried to cater to the masses by going for that $140 price point. But two, he hijacked the whole process. He decided to put EVA foam grips on the handles, which these days almost everything by Lose has wind grips on them. That's over $100, and that's KVD's preference. And then he also insisted that they make it in a 6, a 7, and an 8 speed, which almost all Lose reels only come in 7 speed. So, yeah, pretty interesting there. Love my Lose 300 Super Duty, says Matt, with the power handles. They're tough as hell. Can cast extremely well. Yeah, I bet some of the higher end lose reels are an exception, just like with pretty much every brand out there. If you're going to spend 250, 300, $350, and in a lot of cases, just 200 bucks, which I think those Super Duties are right around the $200 price point. They're very, very good. Ray, no, that's a good question. It might be until closer to the new year, unfortunately. I really hope that that thing comes out sooner than later because as much as I like the Slim 6, I think that tiny Slim is going to be awesome because it is more of a shallow diver as well. I think it's only going to dive like 3 or 4 feet. So, yeah, I really look forward to getting that bait in my hand ASAP for sure. I think the SLX looks better than the Speed Spool, has more comfortable grips. Yep, the grips make a difference for sure. On the standard Speed Spool, I've put some of those aftermarket grips on them that like Bass Pro and Cabela's sell. So I don't like their standard grips on their cheaper reels, for being honest. I thought I had one of their cheaper reels close by here to show you guys. And I think I've moved it since last weekend. It's a freaking mess in here. So anyway, yeah, I agree, man. Oh, Matthew's been fishing with the smoke, huh? Sort of like the smoke. Interesting. Um, might just take a little time to dial it in. But if you don't like it, you can always send it to me, man. Now I've got 2 of them, so I don't need it. But interesting. Justin is debating about the Metanium DC still. Wow, dude, that's a big spender, my brother. Isn't that like a $500 reel, dude? Why not just get the Metanium instead of the Metanium DC? Wow. Honestly, if I were you, I'd probably go with the Daiwa Zillion TWS, that new version that just came out this year. If I had $350 to spend, that's the one I'd get. Probably wouldn't step up to the Metanium, but again, personal preference is everything, right? Some people are more Shimano than they are Daiwa, but I'm not necessarily loyal to either one. I've got the Shimano Tranks on my swim bait setup. I've also got a Daiwa Tatula 200, and love them both, but they're different, right? Ray says the Pro Speed Spool is 199 bucks. Definitely my favorite so far. Interesting. I don't know how familiar I am with that at all. Yeah, EB, I've got the Vengeance rods and don't love them, dude. I talked about that recently. I think they're pretty heavy for a 24-ton graphite rod. And the main thing you're going to want to pay attention to is that you need to throw it on straight fluorocarbon or straight mono if you do that kind of thing. But braid to a leader will end up ruining those tip-top guides. The guides that are on those Vengeance rods are super low quality. And yeah, keep that in mind. Don't throw braid on that rod. Matt's waiting for that Akuma Hakai reel. I checked that out. It does look pretty cool, man. I don't know about comparing it to a $200 Steez, but I hear you. Oh, you haven't used the smoke yet. The smoke handles are similar to the lose reel. That's what I was saying. That's the point, is that Kevin Van Dam is partial to EVA foam handles. That's the whole point. He designed both of those reels. Sean says, check out Sportsman's Outfitters for lose. They generally have the best prices on them. Good point. Appreciate that. Yeah, Sportsman's Warehouse is a good place to shop for sure. I've got one here close in town and has I've gotten some good deals there. Do a lot of roll casts, and I find the twing to be problematic. Oh, the T-wing. I was like, twing. You talking about the DC sound or what? The T-wing has been problematic with roll casting. Um, Interesting. That's fair. I haven't really found that to be the case, but I also don't do a lot of roll casting myself. So, interesting point. I really only use um, my T-wing reels on crankbaits and on swimbaits. So, yeah, interesting observation though. Appreciate you you mentioning that. Matt says I've got it spooled up though, 12-pound sniper. Probably gonna use the smoke tomorrow. Sweet man. The T-wing won't pass braid to fluoro knots very well. Yeah, you don't want to reel it all the way up into the reel. That's the thing is you want a shorter leader. If you're throwing braid to a leader, usually keep it to the length of your rod or shorter. You certainly can, EB, but the issue that I ran into was not noticing that the braid wore down on that guide until then I started breaking off lures. It was just it was chipped, so it was cutting my line, and I was casting lures off. So I had to replace that tip top guide um, personally, just with like a guide replacement kit. And now I really don't use that rod at all anymore. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of what you get when you buy a $50 rod, you know. Hey, Ray, no problem, dude. Thank you so much for being in here tonight. Really great to see you in here. Appreciate you contributing to the conversation. And again, I miss you, man. Um, let's talk again soon. Love to see you again in more of these live streams um, from here on out. Kev, next week I'll be on Friday and or Saturday. Just keep that in mind. Matt says, I only do braid to leader on most of my reels, except for the smoke that I have. Wait, Sean, you're talking about Sportsman's Outfitters, not Sportsman's Warehouse? Interesting. I didn't know there was a difference. I didn't know about Sportsman's Outfitters, but I will keep that in mind. No way, EB. Do you really? Is your line snapping, dude? If it is, check that guide. That top guide is probably cracked. Okay. You'll see a little nick in it. I'm sure that the 13 fishing Defy rod is better than the Vengeance, but I can't guarantee that, man. So yeah, I pretty much only throw straight fluorocarbon on that Vengeance if and when I throw it now. I've got it paired up with my cheapest Lose LFS reel. So the Daiwa Air DX is the best $50 rod ever made, says Justin. Okay. Note to self on that one. Matt says, I'd save your money and get an Omen. I have one and love it. Yeah, well, some people just don't have the time to save their money. How much is the Omen, dude? Don't you be telling us it's $200 right now. If we're talking about $50 rods, you shouldn't be going over, say, $100. How much is that Omen? Guys, it's been an hour and a half. Okay, $119. That's reasonable. But if you're looking to stay cheap, I would look at something like the what's the Dobbins line The Dobbins Colt. Okay. Dobbins Colt is like 79 bucks, something like that. They're cheaper than the Fury, but still pretty well made. Um, I'd look into that if you're gonna be trying to buy a cheaper rod. But Justin might be absolutely right about that Daiwa Air DX rod, Akuma Stratus VI. Belligerence, thanks for the compliment on the stream. It has been a good little conversation. Sean says get a Q-tip and swirl it around in the guides. If it has a bad spot, that Q-tip will fluff up. Yep, you're absolutely right about that. But I think he already knows that it's cracked. Belligerence likes his ugly stick carbon. Dang, dude, that's significantly heavier than that Abu Garcia Vengeance rod. But that said, you're not going to have a lot of issues with it if you can tolerate a ridiculously heavy and not so sensitive rod. Then awesome. Akuma Stratus VI, 50 bucks, tough, good bend in the rod. Okay, looks like we got some good suggestions in here. That almost makes me want to pick a couple of these up just to be able to test them out and recommend to people, if they quote unquote pass the test. Because I think a lot of people end up shopping at Walmart, at Bass Pro, Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, wherever is kind of local and in person to them. And they also don't want to spend an arm and a leg and end up buying things like the Vengeance from Abu Garcia, as I did a few years ago, and came to regret that decision. So Justin says he's got a Colt and it's awesome. Just note that the actions are slower. Okay. So if you get a medium heavy fast, it's going to be more of a medium heavy moderate fast. Good to know. A little bit more appropriate for chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, some cranking. Cool. Daniel says only local here is Walmart, so a lot of online shopping. So hard to get a feel and choose online. I hear you, man. That's why you got to ask around in places like this. Generally speaking, I would say you can trust the folks who are contributing in here now. They're all avid or diehard anglers, and I'd say it's worth giving a shot. We're not talking about spending $200-300 on a rod right now, and the people in here have taken the time to test these out. So again, I might consider doing that for the sake of content and future videos and conversation and just be able to make recommendations for people who are a little bit more entry level, looking for stuff on the budget end of the spectrum. Yeah, Matt, you can replace the guide. Just go get a Fiji guide from Bass Pro. That's exactly what I did. Uh, that tip top guide is larger, so you can buy the Fiji guide replacement for like $5. Comes with the glue and a couple of new guides. It's a very simple replacement, but it doesn't. It's not the same size guide. It feels kind of oversized. Doesn't fish the same. So, yeah, that's my only 2 cents. It does make the rod fishable again, but again, you want to learn from your mistakes. If you come to realize that that guide got messed up from using braid to a leader, and the braid actually wearing down the guide, as opposed to say you jamming it in your car or breaking the tip of your rod, what have you, um, then you do want to switch it up and go to straight floor or something like that. So interesting. I'm sure you can get the micro ones, and I probably made the mistake of not getting the micro ones. Dang. All right, guys. Hour and 35 minutes. I'm dipping out of here. It's been super fun hanging out with you guys on this Thursday night. It's about 11 o'clock my time. Um, and I appreciate you guys' time. The St. Croix Bass X rods are good for the price as well. Yeah. Fingers crossed on the new ones coming soon. And that we all have a chance to get one of them. Because yeah, I'm curious to see how those guys fish for sure. All right, guys. Have a great Friday tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend. If I don't talk to you before then. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.